So I thought it would be really fun to tell you guys, like, the reason why I created Family Ties, the parent-child communication game. So as a single mom of 3, me and my kids were like, in a battle zone, fighting for our lives at home. Like, yeah, it was like 0 out of 10, wouldn't recommend for anyone. We were just like having all these disagreements. Everybody felt the way every single day. It was just like, I'm telling y'all, it was worse than Nightmare on Elm Street, literally. Like, we were going through it. So I'm like, you know what? This is getting crazy. I'm like being bullied by 3 little people. And I had them. So it was just like, it was enough for me. So I'm like, okay, let's get some resources. Let's get some counseling going on. Let's get some family therapy. Let's see what's wrong with me. Let's see what's wrong with y'all. Let's hold space, accountability. Let's figure this out together before, somebody gets seriously hurt or, one of my sons tear each other's heads off. Whichever came first. That's how crazy it was. So I decided, like, after gaining the mental clarity, going to family therapy, like, little people have voices too, and they really be talking a lot if you ask them questions, of course. Like, so I'm like, these little people, they're not just like people you could just boss around and like tell to take your trash out. So once I understood that through family therapy, I decided, like, hey, I know I'm not the only single mom that's like, I'm literally about to snatch my head off my shoulders and put it on the dresser, guys. Y'all are driving me crazy. And I just wanted, like, a safe, I guess, restorative practice or a safe outlet for parents and kids to, like, come together and say, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do. Let's meet somewhere in the middle so we can all, like, live, not even happily, but we can all, like, cope and, not be in anger and, I guess, turmoil in our house, which, let's be clear, I have, like, a 2-story bungalow, and I'm like, too much attitude going on in one little space is just not cool. So I did want to create something that brought parents and kids together, because at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. And if we go together, I guarantee we can win. So I think that's very important in all families. Just to, like, I want to hold space as a parent for, hey, maybe, I did something that wasn't right, or maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I shouldn't have said that. And let's have some grace. Like, I'm a mom for the first time and you're a kid for the first time. Like, we've never been in this space before. Let's, help navigate and maneuver, like, what happiness for both of us looks like, since we're stuck together like glue forever and ever anyways. The best way to kind of, like, cope aesthetically, come together, and still be our own people at the same time, because I think that's important. I think that this game is like a manifestation of what therapy can do for a family. I think that this game is like, I wanted to serve as a blueprint for how we get back to having not only fun conversations, but serious conversations with our children, and building that foundation so when our kids are 16 and 17, that they're okay with coming to mom or dad first before, seeking, I don't know, love from the wrong places, attention from the wrong spaces. I think that it's important to, like, instill these themes that I included in Family Ties in your everyday conversation with your kids, to build that foundation and that comfortability to have, like, again, those tough conversations when they're in college, when they're in undergrad, and they're like, hey, mom, I think I want to come home. And they're comfortable enough to tell you that. Like, I want to just create a safe space for parents to talk to their kids, because I think that's something I was missing so long. I think in the beginning stages of, like, I think that before my sons got difficult to deal with, that there were signs and there were red flags. And there were things that I won't say I neglected, but that I kind of put on the back burner as a parent. Being a one person doing a 2-person job is very crazy work, but I do believe anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And I would say that I don't believe that I was ever a bad parent. I think that I was always a trial and error parent, and I wish that maybe I had some of these keys and coping mechanisms that I learned in therapy maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And maybe, my angry little tween wouldn't be so angry. Maybe we would have had like the tools and the coping mechanisms in place for him to, channel that anger into positivity. But I mean, kids are always growing and changing, so I don't think it's too late. I'm just happy that I did pay attention when I did. And that, we're slowly but surely catching like the social norms and cues that, only therapy I think can bring out of children and parents. So I do think that this game is really just kind of like a tool that I want you guys to use. Like when you're at odds with your tween or a teenager and you're like, hey, I think I want 18 to come quickly and I want you to exit my house and I just want to see you once or twice a year. But I think that I want this to kind of be a gateway to build the bridges that connect people to their kids, because I think it's very important. And it's intentional to like not want to be your kid's best friend, but definitely want to be all up in your kid's business, in their mind, and see what they're thinking. I think that's important because nobody wants to raise like a psychopath or somebody who is not emotionally intelligent enough to like check on their own well-being and put themselves first and learn to love themselves and build confidence and independence and all of those things that I feel like our generation or that era from the 90s to the early 2000s kind of missed the mark on. I feel like this is kind of a blueprint to kind of get us back on track with the things that we were kind of missing out on. Like, make your kids comfortable talking to you. In a world we live in where social media has been a part of my 10-year-old's life since he was 5, I think it's very important for you to get them from in front of those screens and get them to talking to people, like in their face, getting to know people, looking for social norms and cues. Like, I do believe that we are living in a world that's just everything is at the click of your fingertips. And I don't know about y'all, but that scares me. So I like as much things to be in person for me and my kids so that we can see, feel, touch, and use our senses before we lose them. Like, I want us to be able to see things and like garden and do all of the things that the world is just moving too fast for us to really have time to do. And I think that this game can help you guys get back to that safe third space where you can just be free to learn and grow with your kids instead of life moving too fast for you to even really know your kids or what they're into. And then by the time you realize like, hey, my kid didn't do this, or I know my kid would never, you really do know, and you can really stay rooted in that. Like, hey, you can't tell me anything about my kid because I know my kid. We have these conversations, right, once a week, and I know my kid would never, or I know that's spot on. That is definitely something my kid would do. I think that it's important to know your kid in that way so that no one can tell you anything about your kids. I think that's important when building community. So I feel like I'm super passionate about providing access and knowledge. And I think that Family Ties does a really good job of giving you guys access and knowledge to a lot of different themes that can start conversations in your home that need to be had, that can lead to like healthy habits, whether that's in health and wellness, showing people kindness, respect, independence, lifelong learning. Like, it's important to know if you have a child that wants to go to college, or if you have a child that's interested in a skilled trade or coding or things of that nature. Like, it's important to know what type of kid you're raising that the future is going to ultimately and essentially deal with. So Family Ties helps you guys be able to do that.